starts right now.
It's unfortunate that there's people that have no regard to the safety of others.
But to see something like that and to find out what happened, the story behind it was pretty shocking.
A crazy start to the Sunday. We have neighborhood reaction from that BCSO search where 2 people rammed into a deputy's vehicle earlier today.
A local child advocate speaking up on how the COVID-19 pandemic is still affecting children who are in unsafe situations. We break down the ways to spot signs of abuse and where to go for help.
And the coast of Southern California is still dealing with that major oil spill. The effort's underway to clean it up, and who's responsible?
But first, tonight it was a busy morning for Bexar County Sheriff's deputies as a call for help turned into a chase and 2 suspects still on the run tonight.
That happened on the far west side, starting at Coriander Bend and ending up in a cul-de-sac in a nearby neighborhood. Residents tell me they were surprised by today's series of events.
Woke up to the sound of helicopters and police sirens.
From there all the way, just cops everywhere.
Or like there's police officers with rifles at the door.
It was an unusual sight to see for residents living in this cul-de-sac at Fort Mason and Coal Mine Rise, the site of several Bexar County Sheriff's deputies and this heavily damaged black Nissan sedan.
I was just in shock, just the fact that this happened here.
Sheriff Javier Salazar said this scene is the result of an initial call that came in around 7 this morning from Coriander Bend.
All we had was send the police and they hung up.
When deputies arrived, they found 3 men, one of them with a head injury. But it was at that point one of the men jumped in the black sedan and took deputies on a short chase.
One of the deputies went to make a U-turn, and it looks like that black sedan intentionally center punched him on the passenger side, T-boning the car, deploying the airbags.
The black sedan ended up here. After watching footage from nearby homes, deputies learned that 2 men were inside the sedan but had got out and ran toward this wooded area.
But they shut it down and they had the drone in the middle of the cul-de-sac kind of looking over the area to make sure that they weren't hiding out anywhere.
With protection for neighborhood kids a top priority, neighbors did what they could to help.
We checked our yards and making sure that everybody was safe and there was nobody in the garage.
Check your cameras, make sure your doors are locked, and all the parents were making sure the kids were okay.
They say while they will continue looking out for each other, they hope the suspects are caught sooner rather than later.
One simple mistake and you keep making more, it's going to just, bury you down in that hole. You're going to get caught one way or another.
Now, 3 handguns were also found in the sedan, but deputies are unsure if they're stolen or not. Sheriff Salazar is asking anyone who could help find the 2 suspects to contact them. That number is 210-335-6000.
Tonight, the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office still working to identify a man who was shot and killed at a Southside apartment complex last night. That shooting happening just before 11 p.m. at the complex located off South New Braunfels Avenue, not far from Southeast Military Drive and I-37. San Antonio police say 4 people were in an altercation with another group. At some point, guns were pulled. That shooting then happened. A 25-year-old man was shot multiple times and found outside. He later died from his injuries. 4 other people were shot as a result. They were ranging in age from 17 to 19. Police are still looking for those shooting suspects.
A woman is not facing any charges after admitting to shooting a man who was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The shooting happened Saturday night around 10:30. Police responded to a domestic disturbance call at the Hilltop at Chavano apartment complex off Chavano Ranch Road. When police arrived, they found a woman outside the neighbors and a man inside the apartment with multiple gunshot wounds. The man was taken to University Hospital. Police say the woman admitted to shooting the man in self-defense.
A follow-up now to that school shooting in Houston where a principal was shot. A former student now charged after confessing to that shooting. 25-year-old Dexter Kelsey, seen here, is charged with aggravated assault against a public servant and deadly conduct. The shooting happened Friday at the Yes Prep Southwest Secondary School in Houston. Police say Kelsey fired at the school's glass entrance with a rifle. The principal, Eric Espinosa, was trying to alert teachers and students of the shooter when he was hit by gunfire in the lower back. No students were hurt in that shooting. Espinosa was treated at a hospital and released. Kelsey's bond now set at more than $5 million.
Child abuse cases have continued during the COVID-19 pandemic. A local child advocate shares what children and families have experienced and reacts to a recent case of alleged child abuse. Tiffany Huertas has more on this issue and what resources are out there for families.
Christina Vestal was arrested after doctors reported her for child abuse. San Antonio police say Vestal was arrested after a young girl was evaluated at the hospital for multiple injuries to her head, face, and body. The reporting person says they got a text from Vestal saying the girl fell off the couch. However, upon further evaluation, doctors didn't believe Vestal's story and notified the police.
I've had a newborn roll off that's 3 months old on one of my cases, and nothing happened to that newborn. Rolling off the sofa does not cause that kind of injury in multiple different types.
Yolanda Valenzuela worked for the nonprofit Child Advocate San Antonio, or CASA, for 15 years and was on the Bexar County Child Welfare Board. Valenzuela says it's been difficult for kids to share what they were going through during the pandemic.
Some of this abuse lingered until they returned recently to school, and now the numbers are escalating because now they're crying out.
She says stress can lead to child abuse.
We had one case where the mom and dad, they were short on, beating each other. They were at a high stress level.
Valenzuela says they were able to provide the resources to the family thanks to different organizations working together in San Antonio.
And anybody can call that 211, and they can say, I need shoes, I need food, I need hot meals, I need Pampers, I need formula.
Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
Now, if you know of a child who is being abused, you can report it to the Texas Abuse Hotline, and you can remain anonymous. That number is 1-800-252-5400.
While some people are moving on to their booster shots, Metro Health is still offering first and second vaccine shots for those who need it. Today's pop-up clinic was at Tri-Point YMCA off of St. Mary Street. Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson vaccines were administered. The clinic also serves as a way to teach future healthcare professionals. We spoke to one nursing student who hopes sharing her experience with the vaccine will encourage others to get the jab.
To be honest, like many other people, I had a little bit of hesitation in the beginning, but after learning more about the vaccination and doing my own research, I decided to get it in February. And since then, I've been fine. I didn't have any symptoms personally except a sore arm.
The next pop-up clinic is scheduled for Tuesday, October 5th at the Antioch Sports Complex off of Eros Street. The Pfizer vaccine will be given out from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The city of San Antonio is reporting our COVID risk level currently as moderate, and that's something Dr. Robert Leverance with UT Health San Antonio attributes to an increase in vaccinations. We spoke with him as part of our leading SA segment this morning on GMSA. The doctor is pleading with people to get vaccinated before another possible winter surge.
Well, it is concerning. We know that cold virus is like cold weather, and we're going into another winter. And I'd say some factors are aligning that could pose a bad winter surge. We don't know that for sure, but we had a bad surge last winter, and yet school was not in session, and yet it is in session this year, where 20% of our population is mingling indoors, mostly vulnerable and unvaccinated. In addition, we've had a late summer surge, and so that can act as a biologic springboard, if you will, for a surge this winter. Of course, the higher our vaccination rate is, the less likely we'd have that surge. And so I do want to put a plea out for folks that haven't been vaccinated yet. First of all, I think it's well known by now that this crisis is the worst crisis this nation has ever suffered in terms of lives lost, more than any prior war or any pandemic. Yet if you look outside, you wouldn't know it. It's deceiving. Things seem pretty well. And so for those who've been unvaccinated, I could understand you want your questions answered, or if you have some doubts, I think that's very fair. What I ask is this. I just ask that you speak to a trusted healthcare individual that you know, whether it's a nurse in your clinic or your doctor, or even a healthcare worker in your community or church. During normal times, we trust our well-being, if not our lives, to these individuals. And I just ask for this question, we would trust them with this question as well.
If you'd like to watch that full interview with the doctor, you can always head over to our website, KSAT.com, and click on the Leading SA tab.
Meanwhile, nationwide, for the first time in more than 3 months, the country is starting to see a decline in COVID-related hospital admissions and daily cases. There are numerous vaccine mandates across the country. New York City school teachers and employees who are not vaccinated by this past Friday will not be returning to school Monday morning. In Connecticut, state employees have until midnight tomorrow to show proof of vaccination or agree to weekly testing. The National Guard standing by to fill in for potential vacancies. Many health experts support these mandates.
Throughout, years and years, decades, we have made it a requirement for children to get into schools to get different types of vaccines. So when people treat this as something novel and terrible, it isn't.
California now the first state that will require COVID-19 vaccines for children once they are fully approved by the FDA. There are approximately 70 million Americans who are not vaccinated.
Wrapping up another weekend with a look outside with live cam, similar to last night. Hard to see the cloud cover that's out there tonight, but we do have some lingering high clouds that'll be around tonight and for the next few days. But what's not quite noticeable just yet, it is the drier air that will be with us this week. It's starting to settle in as we speak. Now, today was a warm day. We started off just shy of 70 this morning, up to 90 this afternoon. That's 4 degrees above average for this time of year. And things generally will be staying warm this week, but it's the drop in humidity that's going to make things very comfortable. Right now at the airport, 78, and our sensor is picking up on a lot of that high cloud cover that's streaming in from the west. Winds are now calm. So we'll talk about this drop in humidity and what it means for the upcoming work and school week and your full forecast. That'll be along in just a bit.
Still to come on the Nightbeat, he's turning a hobby into a career. He's only 14 years old, and he's the focus of the next What's Up South Texas. See what inspired this teen to tap into his gift of art. Plus, several senators are keeping their eyes on the price when it comes to the Biden $3.5 trillion budget resolution, why they say the price tag must come down before it comes to a vote.
And everyone is keeping a close eye on the coast of Southern California after that major oil spill. How long it'll take until cleanup is complete. That's next. A big cleanup effort is underway right now after a large oil spill along the California coastline.
Yeah, that oil reaching nearby wetlands, and there are reports of dead birds tonight, fish, and other wildlife.
Final day of the Pacific Air Show in Huntington Beach was canceled on Sunday to facilitate cleanup efforts. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimber with the details.
A massive oil spill impacting California's southern coastline.
We are in the midst of a potential ecological disaster.
The oil slick, about 13 square miles in size, from Huntington Beach's pier to Newport Beach. The leak stemming from a broken pipeline about 4.5 miles offshore. At least 126,000 gallons of post-production crude pouring into the Pacific Ocean. The company that owns the pipeline pledging full cooperation.
We will do everything in our power to ensure that this is recovered as quickly as possible, and we won't be done until this is concluded.
Officials say it's difficult to know how long it will take to clean everything up.
We're still evaluating the complexity of the event and the amount, but I would say that this is going to be a sustained and longer term effort.
The pipeline has been capped and no more oil is leaking into the ocean, but the spill is already impacting wildlife.
We've also had reports, and I've seen pictures of birds that are covered in oil and fish that have washed up onto the shore at the Huntington Beach State Beach.
Crews have deployed skimming equipment and booms to prevent the oil from flowing into a nearby ecological reserve and the Huntington Beach wetlands. Officials have told people not to swim, surf, or exercise near the beach because of potential health hazards like toxic fumes.
I was there for a few hours today, and even during that time, I started to feel a little bit of my throat hurt, and you can feel the vapor in the air.
Meanwhile, ocean conservation nonprofit Oceana saying in a statement, this is just the latest tragedy of the oil industry. The reality of our reliance on oil and gas is on full display here. Andrew Dimber, ABC News, New York.
Meanwhile, back here at home, turning to weather now. It has been a very warm, muggy few days, but big changes on the way as far as the humidity goes.
Oh, yeah, it's like an appetizer to fall. We'll get our humidity to drop this week. It's not going to be sweater weather, but we will cut down on some of the moisture in the air, and that's going to make it feel very comfortable, and you'll notice it by tomorrow. Here's today's time lapse. This shows that we had a good mixed bag of cloud cover around today. Some lower clouds moving in from the north, and then those high thin clouds that continue to stream in from the west tonight. We'll go back to our satellite imagery really quickly. And these high thin clouds cover a good portion of south central Texas, and they're even moving into far east Texas and Louisiana as well. So no rain falling out of these clouds, but they always make for great photos and some nice color, especially around sunrise and sunset. 78 currently at the airport. It is 76 New Braunfels, just dropped to 80 in Pleasanton. Our temperatures are starting to fall here as we speak. 73 up in Kerrville. Now here are our dew point numbers. This is not jaw-dropping. They're mid to upper 60s, even some 70s, down a little bit closer to the Gulf Coast. And compared to this time last night, they're down a bit, about 5 degrees here or there, down 7 degrees in Del Rio and 7 degrees in Gonzales. But we are going to continue to see these dew point numbers fall tonight and through the day on Monday. So I'll take you to tomorrow morning. Not a whole lot of drastic change, but I do think you'll notice not quite so much humidity in the air early tomorrow. And then by tomorrow afternoon, this time tomorrow night, it will feel much drier out there. As far as humidity is concerned, our dew points will be dropping into the 40s and 50s really for everyone during the day on Monday. So once these dew points drop, they're going to stay low all this work and school week. So they'll be in the 40s and 50s all week long. So we'll be feeling dry and pleasant. They really won't start to shoot back up until this time next weekend. So we'll get nearly a solid weekend here with some drier air in place. And this is not the driest air that's ever moved in. And again, it'll be warm in the afternoons, but it'll be feeling a lot more comfortable out there for sure. And other than that, really a very quiet weather pattern this week. This time last weekend, we were getting you ready for several days with some periods of heavy rain. There is no rain in the forecast this week, essentially no rain in the forecast over the next 7 to 10 days. Really the only thing I think we'll be seeing in the sky is some more of those high thin clouds moving in from the west from time to time. There will be a good bit of rain off to our east, especially first half of the week. But we'll be dry here all this week, even into next weekend. So hopefully your yard got at least a little bit of rain this past week, because we are entering into a bit of a dry spell. But bright side, silver lining, we'll have some lower humidity in place. So overnight, mostly clear skies, high thin clouds around, temperatures falling into the mid 60s. So we'll start off mid to upper 60s in the morning. Not too cool, but a few degrees cooler than we were this morning. 85 at lunchtime tomorrow. High temperatures tomorrow back near 90 degrees. A little bit warmer than average for this time of year, but keep in mind that drier air will be filtering in tomorrow. So even though it will be warm in the afternoon, it won't be too uncomfortable. Look at our mornings as we get into Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, even Thursday morning. Our lows will be down closer to 60. So some cool mornings, warm but comfortable afternoons. And by this time next weekend, humidity will pick back up, but still no really good chance of rain in the next 7 to 10 days, guys.
So if you're jogging, the best time to do it would be in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie.
Greg Simmons joins us with a preview of Instant Replay right after this. The Dallas Cowboys with their third win in a row, handing the Carolina Panthers their first loss of the season. With more of what's on Instant Replay tonight, let's check in with our Greg Simmons.
Yeah, and you thought that game was over in the third quarter, but then, not so fast, right? And the Houston Texans are the worst first-half performance in over 2 decades of NFL history in their scoreless rout by Buffalo. Coming up tonight on a brand-new edition of Instant Replay.
We think we can beat you at the run, we can beat you at the pass, whatever you're going to give us.
The Dallas Cowboys outscored the Carolina Panthers 20-0 in the third quarter behind Dak Prescott's 4 touchdown passes today. But it would still take a gadget play in the fourth quarter to seal the deal. Our Larry Ramirez was in Arlington. Takes us inside the Cowboys' winning locker room.
You got to make plays and turning the ball over. It's tough to win games when you're turning the ball over, so we got to avoid that.
Now, the Houston Texans hit a mark of futility in first half today against the Bills in Buffalo, not seen for over 20 years in NFL history. What was a dubious honor in the shutout loss to the Bills? We will show you. You don't see that every day. And who had the best patch, the best catch, the best run, and, of course, the best game? Find out in our best of big game coverage and all new 12's Top 12, sub-5A 12's Top 12 as well. Find out if your team made our list. All that plus the UTSA Roadrunners have matched their best start in school history by picking up their 5th straight win against UNLV. And what impressed you the most in the Cowboys win over Carolina? Tonight, you decide. Instant Replay is live and it's after the Nightbeat. So many choices on that game.
Yeah, and then Houston, we have a lot of problems.
Yes, you do. Yes, we do.
Thank you, Greg. We'll see you in a little bit. Coming up next on the Nightbeat, his skill with a pen or pencil is undeniable, and he's only 14 years old. The inspiration behind this teen's artwork.
And it's been nearly 3 weeks, and authorities are still looking for the suspect in the Gabby Petito murder case. How much longer they are to finding Brian Laundrie.
Plus, Joe Biden's infrastructure bill continues to hit more bumps in the road. We have the latest from Capitol Hill. Welcome back. Democratic leaders are facing criticism for postponing a vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill as progressives and moderates wrangle over a much broader spending package that includes funding for social services programs.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi delaying the vote twice, but now setting a new deadline. Here's ABC's Mary Alice Parks with the details.
The White House confirming President Biden will travel to Michigan Tuesday to make the case for his Build Back Better agenda and infrastructure plan.
I believe when the American people are aware what's in it, we can get it done.
But tensions on Capitol Hill heating up. In the House last week, progressive Democrats refused to vote on a bipartisan $1 trillion infrastructure bill to fund roads, bridges, and airports until Democrats reach a deal on the rest of the president's budget.
We thought we made clear 3.5 months ago that the two had to move together because we don't want to pit roads and bridges against childcare.
Democratic Senators Manchin and Sinema, the lone holdouts on the partisan budget proposal to create new social programs like paid medical leave, universal pre-K, and free community college, mostly paid for, according to the president's plan, by increasing taxes on corporations and the nation's highest earners.
We are paying for everything in this piece of legislation, and it's very popular with the American people that the wealthy and big corporations finally pay their fair share.
Sinema criticizing progressives in the House for postponing that infrastructure vote, writing the delay was inexcusable, adding, "I have never and would never agree to a bargain that would hold one piece of legislation hostage to another." On Sunday, Senator Bernie Sanders admitting the current $3.5 trillion price tag for that budget proposal will likely be lowered.
$3.5 trillion should be a minimum, but I accept that there's going to have to be give and take.
That was Mary Alice Parks reporting. Speaker Pelosi yesterday gave her caucus a new deadline. She says she wants a vote on the bipartisan infrastructure deal by the end of the month.
Taking a look at other stories making headlines around America. Gabby Petito's family taking to social media to honor their daughter's memory and renew their calls for Brian Laundrie to end his run from the law. Gabby's mother, Nicole Schmidt, tweeting for the first time, writing, "Mama Bear is getting angry. Turn yourself in." This is a search for Brian Laundrie now nearing the 3-week mark. The search intensifying in Florida. Investigators launching a surveillance drone to help in that search. Meanwhile, in the city of Moab, Utah, they have launched an internal investigation into how officers seen in that body camera footage handled that stop.
Federal employees will soon either have to roll up their sleeve to get a COVID-19 shot or start looking for a new place to work. The U.S. Office of Personnel Management says agency and department officials can enforce the Biden White House vaccine mandates next month. According to the OPM memo, disciplinary actions for unvaccinated federal workers begin on November 9th. Agencies are advised to first take steps like counseling when providing educational material. But if employees keep resisting to get the shot or provide a legitimate legal exception, they could be terminated.
The suicide death rate has increased in military members, according to a new report. The data says in 2020, there was a 9.1% increase in the rate for active duty service members. Among reserve members, it went up by 19.2% last year, but it's actually gone down since 2018. And though the rate for National Guard members went up to almost 32%, it has also decreased in the past 2 years. In 2020 alone, 580 members of the military died by suicide.
About a year ago, KSAT Explains released an episode dedicated to the fight to preserve a public housing complex in the heart of the West Side. This week, the Explains team is heading back to the Alazan Courts to take a look at where things stand now. Here's Myra Arthur with the preview.
A controversial plan causing concerns, but later called off. Yet the future of the Alazan Courts is still uncertain.
I go back to the streets. It won't bother me none. It just bothers the city.
I know because they were saying they were supposed to relocate us.
but I knew it wasn't going to happen.
There was a plan to upgrade Los Courts, as they're known to many in this West Side community. They were the first public housing units built in San Antonio.
So it's got this amazing history, and I knew about it because, again, I grew up in this neighborhood.
The cinder block units built in the 1940s. The upgrades since then include a small AC unit installed on windows for the summer and winter months.
And that little air conditioner right there got the heater, but it don't warm up like it should have.
And internet access is a challenge. The need is clear, so it was back to the drawing board to create a new plan and a new future for the hundreds of families living here.
And I'm hopeful that the tide is shifting. I hear more people saying that we need to invest in public housing.
But questions about what this new plan will mean, not only for the courts, but this community, remain. A push to demolish and rebuild versus the effort to preserve history.
Our commitment is we're not going to displace any residents.
A property like the Alazan Apache is like a safety net.
There were questions and concerns about funding, because that's sometimes what they say, is to tear down something and to rebuild is cheaper than to preserve.
1 year since we first visited the Alazan Courts, we're making a return to dive into what exactly has changed in the past 12 months, what hasn't, and how that's affecting the residents who call the courts home.
The KSAT Explains Los Courts will be available to stream on demand this Tuesday. We'll live stream the episode at 7 p.m. on KSAT.com, the KSAT TV app, and KSAT's Facebook page. If you can watch it live, we'll post the full episode so you can watch on demand later Tuesday evening.
Check this out. A Google search today would have taken you to this image of Maria de Los Angeles Alvarino Gonzalez. The search engine is honoring the marine research biologist on her 105th birthday. According to biographies, she discovered 22 new species of zooplankton. She was appointed as a marine biologist in 1952 by the Spanish Institute of Oceanography. After her studies in Madrid, she migrated to England, where she became the first woman to work as a scientist aboard a British research vessel. There's your tidbit of the day.
That's cool. I noticed that today on my browser, and now I know who that awesome woman is. Very cool. Outside with live cam. It's been a pleasant evening. And things are just going to get nicer over the next few days, not because we've got cool air moving in, but because we've got some drier air moving in. Dew points are the magic numbers in the week ahead. These are not our dew points, these are our air temperatures, and it's still on the warm side. 78 here in San Antonio, still 80 in Del Rio, and 82 in Cotulla. Overnight, we'll see our temperatures drop into the mid to upper 60s in and around San Antonio. For your school day forecast, getting the kiddos out the door in the morning. They won't necessarily need long sleeves, but it'll be pretty pleasant out there. And as they're heading home in the afternoon, a high near 90, but lower humidity. That's the key, not only on Monday, but for the next several days. Another look at your work and school week forecast, a tropics update, and more coming up in just a bit. Daphne.
Up next on What's Up South Texas, we'll introduce you to the teen who went from hating art to now thinking of it as a perfect career choice.
And after leading the box office in September, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings has been defeated. The other Marvel Comics character that took the top spot this weekend. He's a young teen with a creative mind and a gift for art. 14-year-old Cypress Rabke takes us into his world of imagination and illustration.
That's right. He's next on What's Up South Texas. He tells me what started off as a simple hobby turned into a career goal.
During that, I think of like an idea and then I draw it out, but the drawing takes a lot longer.
This is 14-year-old Cypress Rabke, and this is his intricate artwork.
He just needs a pen and a piece of paper, and he can kind of create magic.
From tiny robotic insect drawings
of a thorn beetle
to large-scale reptiles.
I think this is my favorite out of all of them.
Cypress is smooth with a pen, but believe it or not, he used to hate art because he was such a perfectionist when he was just in diapers.
All of a sudden, he draws this Labrador for our friend Martha, and it was crazy for like a 2.5-year-old or however old you were. It was pretty good.
Since then, art has become his favorite hobby that he hopes to turn into a career one day. His attention to detail is superior.
It was always these super inventive drawings of things that I could never imagine in real life. with all of these little tiny, very realistic details in them.
With a love for nature as well, Cypress has another goal in mind.
I am interested in learning how to farm.
Being a straight A student, Cypress's teachers are finally used to his constant doodling.
He's always got his pen moving, but his teachers at school now really see that that's him just thinking.
Thoughts that have been seen by many on social media and even in his own little art show he put on, where a portion of the proceeds went to environmental causes. So far, he's drawn hundreds and hundreds of different pieces, and he hopes his drive to always be better inspires others to be creative.
You don't have to be like a professional to start drawing. You can just draw whenever and whatever.
For What's Up South Texas, I'm Japhanie Gray.
Taking a look at weather, I was outside at the far west side in a neighborhood. They had all these amazing Halloween decorations, so it looked like fall, but you look over, there were children playing in the street with water hoses, so it was a mixture of temperatures there.
Yeah.
Not quite spooky time feel yet.
Yeah.
We're in like the, I was saying on social media when I was posting about the forecast this evening that this week is going to kind of be like faux fall or a fall appetizer, like one leaf on the ground type of fall, not like the full shebang just yet. And that's not a total surprise for us here in South Central Texas. We typically look for our stronger cold fronts that actually bring down the temperatures as we get closer to Halloween. So keep waiting. But I promise this week is not going to be too uncomfortable. High temperatures today, 90 at the airport, 92 up in New Braunfels, Cotulla. You are a hot spot today, 97. And there were a couple of stray showers and a few rumbles of thunder well west of 35. Otherwise, quiet day for us as far as rainfall is concerned. High temperatures across the country, a lot of warmth up through the Central Plains. Actually, San Antonio was one of the warmest spots on the map today. 96 in Phoenix, 91 in Las Vegas. They beat us out a little bit there off in the desert southwest. Meanwhile, a high of 57 up in Seattle, and then plenty of 70s, low 80s for high temperatures up in the northeast, and the mid-Atlantic. There's also a good bit more rain off on the eastern portion of the country there. Meanwhile, here at home, we continue to see that high cloud cover stream in from the west. So here's our overall weather pattern heading into this week, and really I kind of want to show you why it's going to be a quiet week for us here. So we've got an area of upper level low pressure kind of sitting over the Great Lakes. That's producing the rain across the eastern part of the country. That little upper level low is actually going to become cut off from the rest of the jet stream, and this rain making energy will drop south. Now this is going to be close to us, but it's going to be just a little too far east to do anything for us in terms of rainfall. So close yet so far away. By Wednesday, Thursday, that rain-making energy lifts off to the north, still very quiet for us here. And in fact, late this week into next weekend, we're actually going to have a ridge of high pressure build in. This is not going to be the heat high that we see move in during the summertime months sometimes, but this ridge of high pressure will essentially just keep rain chances at 0 all the way through next weekend. Now, by next Saturday night, things will still be quiet, but over on the west coast, there will be another rainmaker getting wound up, trying to get going. And there are some indications that by not this coming Tuesday, but the next coming Tuesday, so more than 10 days from now, this rainmaker could try to reintroduce low-end rain chances to the forecast, but that is even outside of the scope of the planning forecast for now. We'll keep you updated, but rainfall potential over the next week, not just for us here in South Central Texas, but also across the rest of the state. It's a big goose egg, looking like a dry stretch here at least over the next 7 to 10 days. So pollen count, the lack of rainfall, I always try to give you a silver lining. We could use a little bit more rain, but at least with the lack of rainfall, we should get this molds number to drop over the coming days. It was low yesterday, high today with a count of over 6,500. So hopefully with no rain and lower humidity over the next few days, that molds number will continue to drop and we won't have any issues with that, at least for a few days. Quick look at what's going on in the tropics. There's an area here north of Puerto Rico, still well east of Florida, that the Hurricane Center is watching for some potential development over the next 2 to 5 days. Odds of this becoming a tropical depression are just about 20%. Don't see any big issues there. We do still have a hurricane out in the Atlantic, Hurricane Sam, Category 2 storm now, and then Tropical Depression Victor. Victor is on its last leg here, and it's expected to continue to dissipate over the coming days. In case you missed it, we have really run through our list of names for the tropical cyclones this season. Just one left. And that is Wanda. I think we'll get to hold on to Wanda for a few more days. Nothing should get named, at least in the next several days. Back here at home, 78, our dew point is in the mid to upper 60s. I wanted to show this KSAT Connect picture. This shows beautifully those wispy, thin cirrus clouds that were around today. We're going to keep those around tomorrow and for a couple more days. So if you see a pretty picture opportunity there, be sure to send it to us via the KSAT Weather Authority app or ksat.com/pins online. 80 in Pleasanton now, also 80 in Del Rio. Our dew point numbers for most of us are still in the 60s, but as we've been talking about, these dew point numbers come down. So the lower our dew point numbers are, the drier the air feels, and we are going to have lower dew point numbers all week long. So that's going to keep things really comfortable. Now, even though it will be less humid, still going to be warm tomorrow and for the next several afternoons, but we'll have some pretty good mornings. Morning lows near 60 for a few days this week. So yeah, if you want to get out for a walk or a jog in the morning, it's going to be a good opportunity, guys.
I got a taste of real fall up in Boston this week for a work trip, and it's been ruining my whole experience once I came back. I really want real fall to happen here.
Bummer.
We'll wait.
Coming up, the Broadway show Made into a Movie is dropping in the box office ranking. How far it fell from second place? That's next.
Just be glad we get to have real ice cream.
Musical turned movie Dear Evan Hansen debuted in second place last weekend, but tanked all the way down to fifth place this weekend with $2.5 million.
Don't cry, it's only me, Uncle Tony.
The Sopranos prequel film The Many Saints of Newark made off with $5 million and a fourth place debut. And after ruling the box office in September, Disney Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings fell from first to third on ticket sales of just over $6 million.
This is the third dinner Wednesday has skipped this week.
Debuting in second place is the animated adventure The Addams Family 2, which scared up $18 million.
This is about me wanting to live without you.
Marvel's box office hero Shang-Chi was defeated by a Marvel anti-hero. Venom, Let There Be Carnage set a new pandemic-era milestone with its $90.1 million debut, besting Black Widow's three-day opening of $80.4 million. The Hollywood Reporter says Carnage surpassed pundits' predictions by $25 to $30 million. The original Venom opened in October 2018 to $80.3 million. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
I'm sorry. I don't know.